Attorney Manning, have you concluded that offer of proof?
Yes, Your Honor, I would just like to be heard on it if I can.
Yes.
Thank you. With respect to the presumptive test, Your Honor has already ruled that it is admissible. What I would like to clarify, I know Your Honor is concerned with respect to the conclusive nature, if there's any, on the direct examination. What I would like to reiterate is the state is in no way seeking out a representation from the witness that this is a conclusory test. Number one, because it's not. Number two, because I don't believe Detective Riley testified to that, nor will he. What I would indicate is fall back on the many arguments that we had on Friday concerning the fact that it goes to its weight, not its admissibility, and would focus as well on the fact that it can be cross-examined, which I'm sure Attorney Shohern will cross-examine on that subject. Just because something is inconclusive does not mean it is inadmissible. With respect to the nature of the testimony, Your Honor, the witness was very clear that he was trained by the lab, that he did this test, I forget how many times, but for how many years, numerous times. He was also very clear that it's a presumptive test, that it could be anything from human blood, animal blood, to also come out with radishes or something that is not blood related. All of that can go to before the jury and they can make their own determination. It really is, in the state's view, up to the jury to determine, in light of all the evidence that's presented, whether or not what Detective Riley testified to is blood or radishes. So the state would offer it.
Attorney Shohern.
Yes. What the state has not indicated is that there was no confirmatory test whatsoever. I spent the weekend looking for it following when they took a swipe, when it went to the lab. There's no evidence this is even blood, so therefore not only has it no probative value, as Moody points out, by itself, there's no confirmatory test whatsoever, but I'll go further. It was then sent to the DNA department at the state lab, and they found no DNA of Jennifer Dulos in that sample. There was some unknown DNA that they found, but it did not apply to anyone connected to this case. So wholly aside from the fact that that this is not a matter, as the Supreme Court said, where it's inconclusive, the Supreme Court has said it has no evidentiary value, no probative value whatsoever. Your Honor allowed as I understand it, the limited information because when it was collected on the floor, there was a suggestion that it was then part of the blood. There was there were some visible drops that were believed to be blood, and then Your Honor said it was sent on. But this now has to do with the Chevy Suburban. There is no evidence of blood, I want to emphasize that will be introduced. That was even, to my knowledge, tested. I was looking for a confirmatory test. Therefore, and it's not the DNA, there was no DNA of Jennifer Dulos in there. So the sole purpose is prejudicial. The sole purpose is to give the false impression, and I'll emphasize, false impression that Mrs. Dulos might have been in the rear of that compartment, and it's going to be, I don't know when, somewhere down the road where I'm only going to be able to cross-examine to show that it was not related to the case. So the state has, in my view, tried to introduce something that has zero evidentiary value, never mind getting to the weighing of probative versus highly prejudicial. It's to suggest falsely. It would be, in my view, it's as erroneous as putting on false testimony, perjured testimony, because it has no value even down the road. So the court made a ruling based on just what was presented at the time. We're going to allow a detective who collected samples now to testify as to its meaning when all he did, as far as I can tell, is he gets kits from the lab and is taught how to use it. I note that phenolphthalein, which is one of the things in the kit, when previously, I don't have one now, I had an in-ground swimming pool at my house. That's what you test for chlorine levels. Turns red. If it's too dark, it gets bright red. If it's too little, it's pink. So that's what we're talking about. A little kit. You spray it in this case, or you put some on, you dab it on, and I think, what was the second thing? Peroxide. Again, I don't have that much familiarity with hydrogen peroxide other than it's used for infection sometime. I guess some people bleach their hair with it. But the fact that he's going to then go on and explain what it is when he has no scientific acumen whatsoever, there's no training in that, when the jury's going to be hearing this based on what I submit as a lay opinion, and then later on at some point we're going to hear it didn't lead anywhere. So I don't even understand why it's being offered.
If I can just address the fact that counsel is comparing it to perjured testimony here, I want to talk about false representations. There are two items that I think are at issue and should be separated and clarified. One, the presumptive test that Detective Riley talked about with respect to the tissues or the paper towels, which I think was what the objection came from. The other, he is now throwing into that same argument and objection is the luminol pictures, which is the trunk of the Chevy Suburban. So just to keep those totally separate here, with respect to the paper towels in the presumptive test that Detective Riley did on that, as well as numerous items in the garage that day, the state will stand on its argument, but also reiterate the fact that a confirmatory test was not done at the lab, and it's purely on a presumptive level, makes it even more clear to the jury the nature of this testimony. This is a presumptive test. It is inclusive. It's inclusive. It's not a conclusory lab test. It could be A, B, or C. Detective Riley is going to testify to that. It is clear. The jury can give it the weight it deserves. Switching to now the luminol, we can talk about false representations. Counsel indicated on Friday to the court that there was testing done on that trunk that came back that there was no blood in that Chevy Suburban. There was no testing that was done with respect to blood on that trunk. So that representation is completely false. With respect to the luminol pictures, Detective Riley, when he testifies to it, and when we get there, which I believe was Your Honor's ruling on Friday, that they were admitted for ID only until the offer of proof would come with respect to those photographs, which the state was not able to elicit. But apparently we're talking about that now. Those, Your Honor, again, presumptive nature. It's a presumptive test. It is what it is. Just because it is inconclusive does not make it inadmissible in light of all the other evidences presented.
Thank you. First, the court will address the contention that the jury will receive a false impression that the blood of Jennifer Dulos was found in the vehicle. The jury will hear the testimony from this witness and essentially is not testifying as an expert. He's testifying about his training as to what he was trained to conclude based on certain circumstances and results. If the jury hears testimony about a presumptive test, then the jury has to understand what the term presumptive means. That's going to be up to the state or the defense or both. The testimony by this witness and the wide open avenue for cross-examination, in this court's view, does not allow the jury to fall simply into a hole of false impressions. The court will allow the testimony. You can bring the jury in, please.
Just for clarification, is the court also going to allow this witness to explain what the test does without a foundation as to his scientific, lack of scientific ability, or is he just going to be able to state that he collected it for that reason?
Well, the court is going to wait to hear the questions, and counsel has the opportunity to object. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Will counsel stipulate to the presence of all of the jurors?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is your witness here? Attorney
He
General?
is, Your Honor. State would recall Detective Riley. I may just inquire if everybody's television is on. Attorney Manning.
And Detective Riley is still under oath. You may be seated, Detective.
Thank you, Your Honor.
If I may, Your Honor.
Detective, will you please just indicate, just for purposes of the record, your full name?
Yes, it's Matthew Riley, R-E-I-L-L-Y. Yes, ma'am.
If I may just have a moment, Your Honor, my wire got disconnected for the television. Thank you. Your Honor, for the record, I'm calling up states 9. I believe when we left off, it would be on file 3. And photograph 8. Okay. Detective Riley, how are you?
Good, ma'am. Thank you.
Just to recap a couple questions, if you can take a look at the screen behind you. Again, states 9, file 4, picture 8. And briefly, if you could just describe what's depicted in that photograph.
Yes, that's a paper towel roll that I found on the counter of the kitchen island at 69 Wells.
And the 13,
The 13 is a evidence placard that denotes that it's going to be seized as State Police Exhibit 13.
and did you put that 13 there?
Yes.
Picture 9, what does that depict?
That depicts some of the blood-like stains I found on the paper towel roll.
Now, sir, did you do anything with that paper towel holder?
I field tested it for the presence of blood, ensured it was photographed and documented, and then I packaged it.
Okay, a couple of questions if I can.
Yes.
When you say field test, what does that mean?
I field tested it for blood. I use a screening test called the Castlemeyer test.
I would ask the court to note my objection.
Thank you.
And for this test, I used 2 chemical reagents, phenolphthalein and hydrogen peroxide.
Okay.
And
If you can just walk me through, what exactly is a Castlemeyer test?
it's a presumptive blood test.
Well, I'm going to object, Your Honor, and there's been lack of foundation for this testimony.
Well, the question is, what is this field test? And the objection is,
There's a lack of foundation. This witness can, well, I think the question is, what is a Kastle-Meyer test? Well, I thought the question was.
If I can, Your Honor, I'll withdraw it and go back. I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. Sir, have you received any training with respect to conducting presumptive tests?
Yes, I have.
What training have you received?
I've received training both at the State Police Forensic Lab on this particular test and in one of the crime scene courses I took at the University of New Haven on other tests.
With respect to this particular test, what year did you receive that training?
Sometime in the early 2000s.
And about how many tests have you performed?
Thousands, ma'am.
Okay. Now, asking exactly how do you perform this test?
You perform the test by taking a swab, one of those long-handled Q-tips, taking some of the material, the suspected blood, onto the swab. Then you put a drop of the phenolphthalein on it, wait a couple of seconds. Then you put a drop of the hydrogen peroxide on it. And if you get an immediate color change, it'll turn a bright pink color. That's a positive test.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry, did you say the phenol? I'm going to butcher that.
Phenolphthalein.
Phenolphthalein. Where do you get that?
I get that chemical from the State Police Forensic Lab in Meriden.
And the other item that you use?
Which is the hydrogen peroxide and the sterile water that I use as a solvent. I get those from a chemical supply house.
And are these common tools on the van?
Yes.
Okay. Are they designated in different tubes? Can you walk me through how you store those chemicals?
The chemicals are stored in a refrigerator on the van, in a, almost looks like a plastic fishing box.
Sir, about how many residences or vehicles have you processed in your career with the Western District Major Crimes van?
Countless, ma'am.
Okay.
It's approximately 1,000 crime scenes.
And how many years were you with the van?
14, ma'am.
Okay. And how many times have you utilized that test that you were trained in?
I've utilized this particular test thousands of times.
Now, with respect to the actual process of conducting the test, can you walk us through what you do? I believe you indicated you swab the item.
Yes. So prior to using this test, I'll test the reagents on a known blood source in the van. We use horse blood or pig blood. And then for each suspected blood stain, I'll go ahead and take a swab of the suspected material. In this case, I took it from inside the cardboard tube. Put a little bit on the Q-tip, treated it with 1 drop of phenolphthalein, waited a second or two, then I put a drop of the hydrogen peroxide on.
Does the swabbing of the actual item damage or alter the item itself?
No, it does not.
Now, you mentioned you did a control with animal blood or horse blood?
Yes.
Do you keep that in the van?
Yes, we do.
Okay, why do you do that?
It validates the test. It ensures that the reagents are working properly.
Do you do that every time you use that same reagent?
At the beginning of processing, yes.
Okay, and if you were to open a new reagent, would you test it first?
Yes.
Okay, and did you do that test here on this day, on May 25th, 2019?
Yes.
Okay, now, if it changes color, what color does it change into?
It changes a bright pink.
And what are the results? What does it mean when it changes a bright pink?
It's a presumptive blood test. It just tells us that the material is presumably blood, but it doesn't tell us whether or not it's human blood or animal blood. We will get a positive test result on any blood.
Your Honor, I'm going to object now. This goes into scientific testimony, and his opinion as to the conclusion of what it shows is not based on his training or his scientific acumen.
Well, the response was, it's a presumptive test, and that the presumptive test is not, as the court understands the testimony, limited to human hemoglobin. And so the objection is overruled.
Is it conclusory in any way?
No, further testing needs to be done by the forensic lab.
If I just may have one moment, Your Honor. And did you conduct that test on Exhibit 13, the paper towel swabbing that you did?
Yes, I did.
And what was the result?
The test was positive.
Actually, I should ask you this, sir, if I can. With respect to the kitchen area of 69 Wells, did you seize anything else in that area?
Yes.
What did you seize?
I found another blood-like stain on the faucet,
And is that the kitchen faucet?
the kitchen faucet on that center island.
Okay. Actually gonna draw your attention, sir, to the screen behind you, states 9, file 3, picture 10. If you can, just explain what's depicted in that photograph.
This is the kitchen sink faucet on that island in the kitchen. And what you see there, marked by a adhesive label marked Exhibit 79, is the location of a dilute blood-like stain.
If you can, could you please, Your Honor, may I
Yes.
ask him? Sir, if you could approach the screen, please, and just point out to where you're addressing.
It's right in this area.
Okay, lower right-hand corner, I'm actually gonna scroll in. If you can, sir, there's a white, I guess, ruler marking there. Did you put that there?
Yes.
Okay. And EX79, what does that mean?
That's just our designation. Again, that's going to be State Police Exhibit 79.
And the marking that drew your attention, is that located on the screen with it zoomed in?
This area here, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do, if anything, with respect to that area?
This area was field tested, again, using that Castlemeyer test. Then the area was marked as an exhibit. And then I later collected a sample of this stain with 2 swabs that were moistened with sterile water.
Okay. Couple of questions on that. You tested it utilizing the same procedure that you just testified to?
Yes, it's always the same procedure.
Okay. Did you wear gloves while you did so?
Yes.
And any other protective gear?
Just gloves.
Now, with respect to the Castlemeyer, can I call it KM?
Yes.
Is that okay? With respect to the KM test, what was the result?
The test was positive.
And you indicated you took 2 swabbings. Was that after the test or before?
After the test.
Okay. And why 2?
We take 2 swabbings just for more samples, to collect more samples.
With respect to this this kitchen sink area, did you take any more samples or seize anything on the sink faucet?
Yes, up in this area here, we found another dilute blood stain.
Picture 11,
Yes.
if you can, sir. Could you please point out where and what you see in that photograph?
Yes, this is the dilute blood-like stain we found.
What did you do, if anything?
Again, the area was initially field tested using that KM test. The test yielded a positive result.
Could I just have a continuing objection so I don't have to keep interrupting on this issue with regard to the presumptive?
Thank you, overruled.
And following the test, I marked it as Exhibit 14 and later collected it with that same process of utilizing 2 swabs.
And with respect to the kitchen, sir, anything else in the kitchen area?
Yes, they're down below in the cabinet underneath the sink. We found some items of interest.
States 9, picture 12. What does that depict?
This depicts, looks like Exhibit 15, which was a blood-like stain that we found on the handle.
Sir, if I scroll in there, do you see, if you could point out, or is that blood-like stain shown on that?
Yes, it's this area here.
What did you do, if anything?
Again, it was field tested with KM. Positive test result. It was marked, photographed, and collected with that same 2 swab process.
And it says EX15, what does that mean?
State Police Exhibit 15.
Thank you. Now, inside, I see there's a yellow placard, 17. What does that mean?
We found 2 items of interest in there,
Actually,
inside the cabinet.
if I can, I'm gonna go back one, actually, if I can.
Sure.
I'll just show you 14. If I can, states 9, picture 14, please, in file 3. You can explain what that photograph depicts, please.
The 2 items of interest that we collected from underneath the sink were Exhibit 16, which was a pair of latex gloves, and Exhibit 17, which was a box of white plastic trash bags.
Did you make the decision to seize 16?
Yes.
Why?
The gloves had a texture to them. They're dishwashing gloves, and previously on our walkthrough, we found a blood-like stain pattern in the garage on the floor that appeared to be a glove print, and the print appeared to have some sort of texture to it. It was somewhat similar to these gloves here.
And the 16, what does that delineate?
Again, State Police Exhibit 16.
And 17?
17 is the box of hefty trash bags.
Did you make the decision to seize those, sir?
Yes.
Why?
Just because we found what appeared to be evidence of cleanup inside the garage. So it was, we assumed that possibly one of these trash bags may have been used. And if found, maybe they could match it back to that box.
What day did you collect this evidence?
This was collected on May 25th of 2019.
Thank you. Anything else in the kitchen that you seized or swabbed that day?
We found another blood-like stain up on the edge of the countertop.
States 15. What does that depict, sir?
Again, that's this blood-like stain here. That's discoloration.
And what did you do, if anything?
We field tested it for blood using that KM test. It was positive, and then we collected it using that same swabbing method.
2 swabs as well?
2 swabs.
Okay. I want to show you what's marked as states 16. I'm sorry, it's actually states 9, file 3, states picture 16. What is that?
This is a toothbrush that I found in the master bathroom upstairs on the 2nd floor.
And there is a yellow placard 31. What does that mean?
We seized that as State Police Exhibit 31.
Why did you seize the toothbrush?
In missing persons investigation, we attempt to collect a pseudonym, or something that a pseudonym DNA profile can be developed from. We do this by either collecting the missing person's toothbrush or razor, something of that nature.
By missing person, do you mean Jennifer Dulos?
Yes, ma'am, Jennifer Dulos.
On May 25th, 2019, did you collect anything else from the house?
Yes, several other items.
You can have a seat, sir. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to show you what's been marked as 17. Actually, it's 9, file 3, picture 17. What is that?
That is a hair that we found on the garage floor.
Now, you indicated you did not process the garage on 525. Did you take this out of the garage on 525?
Yes, I did.
Okay, why this item?
Because the hair was loose and it could have easily blown away.
If I can, I'm just going to scroll up. Is the hair depicted in that photograph?
Yes.
Now, with respect to, actually, I apologize, strike that. And I'm going to show you what's marked as picture 18. What is that photograph?
That is one of the seals that we use to seal up the house at the conclusion of processing on the 25th. That is on the, appears to be the central garage bay.
That red tape that's depicted in the center part of the photograph, did you put that anywhere else in the house?
Yes, on the garage bay doors and the front door and
Do you recall any other ones?
not off the top of my head, ma'am.
Okay. With respect to, oh, yes, actually, thank you. Right above the red tape, right, the gray marking, what is that?
That's a garage door remote.
Okay, and did you take any action with respect to that?
Yes, on the 25th, I swabbed that in an attempt to collect any latent DNA material that may have been on it.
Okay, did you use that same two-swab process?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, on the 25th, did you, again, why didn't you process the garage on the 25th?
Our plan was to call in a bloodstain expert to come in to process the garage with us.
And who did you call?
It was then Lieutenant Mark Davison.
Okay. And what day was he scheduled to process the scene with you?
Objection, irrelevant witness witness.
Well,
And
the
here's-
question is, on what day was he scheduled to process the scene? And the objection is relevant, overruled.
He was scheduled to come on the 27th, which was Monday.
Now, did you go anywhere else on May 25th?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go?
In the morning, I went to Lapham Road in New Canaan.
Okay, sir, I'm gonna have you take a look behind you. This would be States 9, File 5, Photograph 1. Do you recognize what's depicted on that photograph?
Yes.
What is it?
That's an overhead view of the area of Lapham Road that I visited on the morning of the 25th.
If you could, would you mind standing up and just pointing to the area that you visited that morning?
It was generally in this area here.
Why did you go there? You can have a seat, sir.
Well, before you proceed, counsel, would you just indicate for the record what quadrant of the photograph
Oh,
the witness pointed to.
I apologize, Your Honor. For the record, that would be the middle to lower center right area. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, why did you respond there?
We learned that the New Canaan Police Department had located Jennifer Dulos's Chevy Suburban on that road, and that they were going to be in the process of towing it back to their police department. We wanted to go there first to take a look at the outside of it, photograph it, before it was loaded onto the tow truck.
What time did you go to Lapham Road that day?
It was in the morning, approximately 7 o'clock.
What did you do when you arrived on scene?
I looked at the outside of the vehicle, and then photographed four sides of it.
Did you walk around the entire vehicle?
I believe so, yes.
And with respect to, well, if I can, I'm going to show you, you take a look behind you. This is again file 5, states 9. Picture 2, do you recognize that photograph?
Yes.
What is it?
That's the photograph of the Chevy Suburban I was speaking about.
Okay. Did you take that photograph?
Yes.
Now, with respect to walking around the vehicle, how close was it to the, I guess, foliage and trees next to it?
I believe the right-hand side of the vehicle was right up against the bushes.
And the right-hand side, would that be the driver's or the passenger side?
I'm sorry, the passenger side.
Thank you. And the direction of the vehicle parked, I guess, is that, actually, if I can, just go back briefly to picture 1. Sir, do you know what road is on the bottom here going from left to right?
That's the Merritt Parkway,
Okay.
Route 15.
And with respect to the vehicle, how it was parked, do you know which direction it was facing? Was it towards or away from the Merritt Parkway?
It was facing the Merritt.
I'll show you picture 3. What does that depict?
That's the left or driver's side of the vehicle.
And picture 4.
That's the rear of the vehicle.
Now, were you able to walk around the vehicle over here on the right side? You can see my cursor.
Not completely. I really just kind of had to look from, where I could access.
And did you find anything on that vehicle that you took note of?
I found some blood-like stains on the outside of the vehicle.
Where?
On the outside of the vehicle.
Okay, and where on the outside of the vehicle?
I believe it was on the rear bumper.
Did you photograph them?
Yes, I did.
Or it, I should say, I'm sorry. 5, states 5, what is that?
That's one of the blood-like stains I found on the vehicle.
Now, if I scroll in, it does not have, this photograph doesn't have a writing here. Did you put that white, I guess, measurement marker that we've seen?
Yes, I did.
Okay. There's nothing written on it. Is there a reason why?
I just included in the photograph for scale.
Did you process or take any action with the vehicle as it remained on scene?
No.
And what does 6 depict, please?
Again, that's another view of that same stain.
Now, sir, I'm going to draw your attention back to May 27th. Well, actually, before I go there, I'm sorry, strike that. The evidence that you collected on May 25th, I think we went through some of them, the swabbings, the 13 through, I forget the number now. What happened to the evidence after you packaged it and gave it a evidence number?
The evidence was sealed, and I labeled them appropriately per our protocol. Some of the electronic evidence was turned over to the New Canaan Police Department so they could pursue those items, examine those.
With respect to the items that you were shown photographs of, what
Yes.
happened to those?
I secured those in the major crime van And at the conclusion of processing, I drove those up to our headquarters in Litchfield, secured them in the evidence room. And then on the 27th in the morning, I returned to Litchfield, took them out of the evidence room, put them on the major crime van, and drove them back down to New Canaan.
Why did you do that?
Because they were still in our custody.
Okay, and was it a state police case at this point?
I'm not sure when that changed, ma'am. We just wanted to keep the evidence together, and normally we turn over evidence to the local police departments when we do an assist all at once.
Okay. And on the 27th, did you drive the van to 69 Wells that day?
Yes.
And in the van, is there a place to store the evidence?
We usually keep it in a banker's box on the floor.
And when you arrived at 69 Wells Lane on May 27th, who was there?
A lot of the same crew from the 25th was there, with the addition of Detective Jamie Pierston and Lieutenant Mark Davison.
And between 525 and, well, strike that if I can, that photograph we showed you with the red tape
Yes.
on the doors, was that in the same location when you arrived back on 527?
Yes.
Was anyone from New Canaan Police Department on scene on 527?
They had posted a uniformed officer in the driveway.
Did you see anybody from New Canaan Police Department go into the residence with you that day, or not with you? Did you just see them?
Yeah, they were just in the driveway, ma'am.
Okay. Did they enter the garage?
Not while we were processing it.
Now, on May 27th, did you process any other area other than the garage?
Yes, we, again, continued to look through the rest of the house. In addition to the garage, we also did a latent print exam in various areas of the house.
Did you do that before you processed the garage or after?
It was pretty much ongoing. However, the latent print exam was probably one of the last things we did.
Why do you do that as part of the last things you do?
Because we use standard fingerprint powders and it really makes a mess.
All right. Was in the processing of the garage, was the garage, I guess, divided up?
Yes, we came up with a grid system just to make documentation easier. We laid out a grid with yellow tape similar to masking tape that has measurements on it. And we gave them letter designations, A, B, C, D, all the way up to G.
You mentioned Detective Pierston was present with you on 527. What was her assignment?
Her assignment was to create a sketch map of the garage.
Have you reviewed those sketch maps, sir?
Yes.
I'm going to draw your attention to the screen behind you. I am in States 9, File 6. And actually, if I may. Do you recognize what's depicted on the screen behind you, sir?
Yes, that is one of the finished maps that Detective Pearson created.
Did you have a particular process or procedure you conducted throughout the garage that day?
The garage was examined, for evidence along with the documentation done by Lieutenant Davison. We kind of worked it together.
Now, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, starting with garage A, marked A, if I can. Do you recognize the map behind you, sir?
Yes.
Okay. With respect to the letters and numbers that are printed inside of A, for instance, A18, A17, A16. What exactly are those supposed to designate?
Those numbers are for individual stains that Lieutenant Davison designated for his examination.
And the EX numbers, or the EX letters?
Right, so those were samples that I took for DNA identification purposes. So Lieutenant Davison was examining the bloodstain patterns, and in his examination, he selected stains, gave them those letter designations, and from each stain pattern, I chose one and collected it.
Why did you only choose one?
Really, it's just to get a representative DNA profile from that stain pattern or region of the garage.
And as you say, you chose one, what did you do? I mean, if you could walk us through the process briefly.
Using the same method that I used on the previous blood-like stains. I field tested it with the KM test. Noted that, whether it was positive or negative, and then using that two swab process with swabs moistened with sterile water, I collected the stains.
If I can just have a moment. It is. Sir, just a couple questions if I can. If you can take a look behind you. Showing the map on the left, but on the right side, it's photograph 2 out of file 6 on states 9. What does that depict?
That depicts the photograph, an overall photograph of Area A, and corresponding overhead view on the sketch map of Area A.
Was that prior to processing?
This was in the process. This was the beginning of that examination.
Okay. And I can, I'm actually gonna bring that back down to. Okay. Picture 3 of that same file. Sir, what does that depict?
Again, that's just another view of Area A.
If I can, just draw your attention and ask you some questions about these. There's a sort of like an upside down L-shaped file. What is that there for?
That's to help give scale to, may I approach the
If you
screen now?
can, thank you.
So you can see this discoloration here, that appeared to us to be white mark, where maybe some blood-like material was on the floor, and there was an attempt made to wipe it up.
Can't hear.
I'm sorry, sir, if you can, just move that microphone behind you, maybe up a little.
It's behind you.
The one. Thank you. And the yellow arrow up on the upper middle part of that photograph, what does that depict?
That's usually placed by the photographer to denote north.
So it's directional?
It's directional, right.
And this yellow marking, is that the yellow marking you were talking about
That-
before?
Correct, that's that yellow masking tape I was talking about.
Okay. Now, with respect to these 3 items, did you put those down?
No, I did not.
Okay. And over here on the right-hand side, we have that same, I guess, ruler marking. What does that depict?
That's, that same L scale is being used to denote another stain pattern found on the garage floor,
And is
close
that
to the wall.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that for documentation?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the rest of the garage floor, there's these little dots here all over. I'm gonna push the photograph up if I can. All these little markings. What are those?
I mean, it's a garage floor, so you have plant material, you have, you know, other types of vegetation, you have, sand, road salt.
Now, I'm gonna show you picture 4, sir. In that same file, what is this?
This is part of Lieutenant Davison's examination of the garage floor.
Were you present when these markers were placed down?
When they were placed down, no, but I was, I observed these in place.
Okay. And just to go in, what do they read, please?
They read A12, A13, A14, and A15 with my marking of State Police Exhibit 40.
And this is this corresponding on the map on the left-hand side of the screen?
Yes, in this area here.
Okay. And with respect to States 40, did you utilize that same two-swab process in swabbing it?
It's the same process. It's first KM tested and then collected with the 2 swabs.
And the KM test?
Was positive.
And just to clarify, this is which one is what is this depicted?
That is stained A12.
Okay, if you can, sir, I'm just gonna show you a series of photographs. If you can, just point to the sketch map just to correspond where they are located. If you can.
A12.
Thank you. Now state 6,
A13,
state 7,
A14,
and states 8.
it's A15 where Exhibit 40 was sampled.
And is that the area that you swabbed that day, sir?
Yes.
Thank you, that's states 9. With respect to these areas, did you mark these or delineate these in any way?
I did not place those scales.
Now, with respect to this area, if you could tell me what this is?
This is a photograph taken overhead of stains denoted as A16, 17, and 18, along with Exhibit 41, which is in this area here.
Please. Now, just briefly, if I can, I just want to be clear. With respect to A16, 17, and 18, do you recall viewing those that
Yes.
day? Okay. And you took a swabbing off of which one?
Off of stain A18.
Okay, which is up here, right?
Correct.
Who took the photographs that day?
It was Detective Katie Keppel and Detective Bob Hazen.
If you can, sir, same question, series of photographs, if you can just point to the screen where.
This
it
is stain A16, A17, and A18.
Do you recall, by the way, this is kind of leaning, I guess, angled one way, and then I'm going to draw your attention to the preceding 2 photographs, 17 and 16. Actually, I'm sorry, it's photographs 12 and 13, but A16 and A17. They're leaning the other way for the photographs, and the overview has them this way. My question is just, which way are they supposed to be?
The scales were not moved, if that makes things easier. The photographer was probably just standing on one side of the stain or the other.
In the course of the photography and processing scene, do the scales ever move?
Not on the garage floor in this case.
And I believe we went. And actually, did you review the part designated as garage B? And if I can, sir, do you recognize what is depicted on the screen there?
Yes, that is another,
Oh, I apologize, I hit the wrong
sure.
button. There you go.
Again, that is the, another part of the left side garage bay, in the center of the garage.
Okay. Is the photograph 1 on states 9, file 7, photograph 1, is that area depicted on the, or is, I should say, the map, a depiction of an area on that photograph?
Yes,
If you could just point it out on the photograph, please.
it's this area here. You can see the B placard right there.
And for the record, that was the middle portion of the
The
photograph?
middle, correct.
Okay, now, on this, we have, on the map portion, we have the numbers ranging from B3 all the way up to B11. Is there a B1 or 2?
That I don't know.
And states picture 2, does that depict an area depicted in the map?
Yes,
Okay. And states 3.
yes, that's the right-hand side of the map.
Okay. States 4, what is on that photograph, please?
That's a fragment of paper towel that appeared to have blood-like stains on it that we found in Area B at the left-hand side of the garage. And it's located right there on the sketch map. It is Exhibit 42.
For the record, you're pointing to the middle portion of the garage. Question about the, well, sorry, withdraw that. With respect to the 42, that paper towel, can I ask you to describe some of the, I guess, dots that are contained in the 42? What exactly did that appear to be to you?
Yes, this material here appears to be plant-like, maybe part of seeds or.
Did you take any swabbings of 42?
I did not,
Why not?
because I just seized the entire fragment of paper towel.
How did you seize it?
I put it in either a paper bag or a paper envelope.
Did you seize anything else out of that area B?
Yes.
What did you seize?
There were 2 stains. B3, I took a sample of is Exhibit 38. B11, I took swabbings as Exhibit 39. And Exhibit 43, which I believe was another paper towel fragment.
Picture 5, what does that depict, sir?
That's another paper towel. It's a larger paper towel fragment with apparent blood-like stains. You can see this reddish staining here.
What did you do, if anything, with the 43?
Again, I just ensured it was photographed, sketched into the map, and I seized it in a similar manner as 42.
Did you take any swabbings?
I did not.
And if you can, sir, is what's on picture 6 depicted on the map as well?
This was a stain designated as B3 that I took swabbings of as Exhibit 38.
And did you do any testing on Exhibit 38 as well?
I did a KM test on it.
And the results?
Positive.
Now, what does this depict, sir?
That is stain B4, located there.
And for, same questions for the next couple, if you wouldn't mind just pointing out where it appears on the map corresponding with the picture. So picture 8, B5,
B5 is here,
picture 9, B6,
B6,
picture 10, B7 and B8,
B7, B8,
picture 11, B9,
B9,
picture 12, what does that show, sir?
So that is stains B9, B10, and B11, which
can't
are
scroll
up in this area here.
Thank you.
A sample of B11 I swabbed as Exhibit 39.
And that is, if you, okay, and the same swabbing process, same every,
Same swabbing process that was also tested with the KM test and was positive.
now, picture 13, what is that, sir?
That is, appears to be one of those flood-like stains, that swipe mark that we saw up in Area A.
And is this depicted on the map in any way?
I don't believe so.
Was that contained in Area B at all?
Without seeing an overall shot, I really couldn't say that.
Okay, let me see if I can. Here's the overview. Does picture 1 assist you in any way? And if it doesn't, that, if you could just say that
It's
too.
hard to say, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm going to ask you, if I can, about the bottom part of that garage side. If you could take a look. Are you familiar with Detective Pearson's map for C?
Yes, this is the portion of that left garage bay closest to the door.
And for the record, I'm going states 9, I am now in file 8. File 8, picture 1, what does that depict, sir?
That depicts that left garage bay, and area C is in kind of the closest to the driveway. It's this area here.
Okay. And for the record, he's pointing towards the middle bottom portion of the photograph. Picture 2, what is that a picture of, sir?
Those are some more of the blood-like stains we found on the garage floor.
And the yellow arrow again?
Again, denotes north.
Picture 3, what does that depict, sir?
That is area C with some of the stains and exhibits marked up.
We have the 68 placard right here. What is that supposed to designate?
That designates another fragment of paper towel.
If I can just. Is that depicted on the photograph?
Yes.
What did you do, if anything, with 68, please?
I collected it in the same manner as the other fragments of paper towel. It was packaged in paper.
Did you take any swabbings?
I did not.
And if you can, sir, picture 4, and if you wouldn't mind, same thing, just if it is reflected on the map on the left side, if you
Hold
could.
on, stop, please.
No.
Everybody's black.
Oh,
What has just happened, ladies and gentlemen, is that course, the entire proceeding is recorded. The recording system just went down. So what we would ask you to do is just return to the deliberation room. Please do not discuss the case. We're going to take our morning recess until 11:30. 11:30, Mr. Marshall.
All right. This honorable Superior Court is not.
Madam Monitor, do we know what happened?
We do not know, Your Honor, but we were able to rectify whatever that problem was.
Thank you. We can bring the jury in, please.
Does Your Honor wish me to get Detective Riley outside? We can call him back in. Thank you.
And before the jury comes out, I just wanted to add to my comments about the use of inositol, since we haven't gotten to those pictures yet. One of the things the court hadn't.
Well, the jury's going to file out while you're speaking.
Oh, there's no witness. Got it.
The counsel stipulate to the presence of all of the jurors.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
You may be seated.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Riley, if you wouldn't mind taking a stand next to the TV again. And just to back up a few of my questions. With respect to States 9, File 8, Picture 4, I believe. If you could you just, is what's shown in that photograph on the map on the left-hand side?
Yes, with the exception of the stain mark G20, which is not depicted on this map.
What area is that stain attributed to?
Area G.
And so the yellow numbered ruler in the, I guess, the middle portion of the photograph?
It would be this line here.
Okay. Picture 5, actually.
As stain C0.
Now, with respect to the way the photograph is that how it's depicted on the map? If I can, I would go back to States 4 and draw your attention to the line again. Where is C0 on States 4?
It's here in the center of the photograph.
Please, the mic. I
Oh,
can't hear.
if you can,
Yep, it's in the center of the photograph.
thank you. And this is picture 5, again. Picture 6, if you could just identify that in the map as well.
Stain C1. Right there.
And picture 7.
Stain C2 in the center of the sketch map, from which I see is exhibit 37.
Same process as you indicated before with the swabbing
Same testing and swabbing process, correct?
and the test results?
Positive.
Thank you. Now, picture 8, sir, what does that depict?
Picture 8 depicts the interior face of the left garage bay door.
If I can. Did you seize anything for evidentiary value on the garage bay door?
Yes, I seized a sample of a flood-like stain. It was on the inside of the garage door.
States 9. Actually, I'm sorry, if I can go back to states 8. Where on the door, if you could please point, did you seize that item?
It's in the center of the photograph, slightly to the left-hand side.
Okay. For the record, he's pointing to the middle, essentially the middle left of the screen. And states 9, what does that depict, sir?
That is the stain,
And-
sample of which I seized is Exhibit 67.
And the same process,
Same swabbing process, same testing process.
and the results?
The test was positive.
Did you process the right side of the garage in the?
Yes.
Are you familiar with Detective Pearson's map for Zone G? I'm sorry, D,
Area D.
Area D. Yes, thank you. For the record, this would be states 9, file 9. And I'll show you photograph 2, actually. Do you recognize what that is, sir?
Yes, this is a overall photograph of Area D, the right-hand bay of the garage. Out of frame to the left would be the mudroom door. Give you a little orientation.
And are there areas below Area D?
Yes, you can see the marker for Area E and Area F, which would be by the overhead door.
I'll show you states 1 out of that file. What does that show, sir?
That's overall the right-hand garage bay with Area D at the top of the photograph, Area E in the middle, and Area F at the bottom.
States 3, or picture 3, I should say. What does that picture depict?
That is a photo of a blood-like stain that we found in Area D.
And the 56, what does that mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. So I designated this as State Police Exhibit 56. However, it's the photograph. The exhibit is going to be the photograph of what we thought was a footwear impression or a shoe print.
If I can, sir, just a couple questions. Is that depicted, Exhibit 56 depicted on Zone D map?
Yes, Exhibit 56 is here in the approximate center.
Okay, and with respect to photograph 3, if you can, I'm gonna scroll in. What drew your attention to this area?
Well, it's another blood-like stain on the garage floor, and there was a distinctive pattern to it.
Could you see the pattern in that photograph, or?
Yes.
Okay. Here, I'll scroll
It
up.
appears to be, you can see these hash marks here?
And for the record, I would say the middle part of the photograph?
Yes.
Picture 4, what does that depict, sir?
Again, that's a stain pattern located here in Area D. Of an apparent footwear impression.
And if you could just point to where that appears on the picture 4.
It's here in the center of the photograph.
Picture 6.
It's another stain pattern,
And where does that depict on the map?
exhibit 7.
And if you could please, picture 6, point to what you are describing, please.
In the, kind of the lower portion, the center of the photograph.
Okay. Actually, I'm gonna scroll up in a little. Oops, sorry. If I can go back to 7D. Scroll in a little bit. With respect to Exhibit 7D, when you were pointing, if you could point to the area now that it takes over the whole screen, what you were describing.
Sure, it's a blood-like stain on the garage floor, and you can see a partial distinctive pattern within the stain itself.
How did you place that 7D marker on there?
I did, yes.
Okay. How do you document this or seize this as an exhibit?
Well, the hard way would be to jackhammer up the floor and send that to the lab, but that's not too practical. So what we decided to do is photograph them properly, 90 degrees with scale, and send the photographs to the lab as Exhibit 70 for identification and possible comparison.
Thank you. And 71, is that depicted on Zone D map as well?
Yes, it is Exhibit 71 here.
And why did you seize that item, sir?
Again, this is another blood-like stain on the garage floor. You can see, that a similar pattern in it, but you can also see the swipe marks through it.
Picture 8, what does this show, sir?
Picture 8 is it's another area of blood-like staining that appear to be wipe marks.
And was this all contained in Area D?
Yes.
And picture 9?
Yeah, it's a additional stain pattern found in Area D.
If I can, I'm gonna scroll, oops, keep doing that. Up here, this marker, I guess L-shaped marker again, what is that?
Again, it's another blood-like stain on the floor with a similar pattern, but a lot less detail to it.
And with respect to these items just around, and if you could follow my cursor, sir, they're little dots or things, what are they?
It appear to be vegetative matter, plants.
And anything, actually, picture 10, was this contained in Area D?
Yes, right here at the, almost at the border of Area E.
And is this the same item that you seized on 525?
This is correct. This is the hair.
Now, with respect to States 9, File 10, so are you familiar with Detective Pearson's map for Area E?
Yes.
Sir, photograph 1 out of that file, what does that depict?
It's an overall view of, again, that right side garage bay. Area E is depicted here right in the center.
Photograph 2, what is that, sir?
This is a blood-like stain pattern that we located in Area E. It's located here kind of top center of the area. And I took a swabbing of this area to sample the blood-like stain that was on the garage floor.
Was that designated as a exhibit?
Yes, Exhibit 51.
There is a pink arrow on the right side. Do you see where the pink arrow is?
Yes.
What exactly is that?
That, in this large stain pattern, the arrow depicts exactly where I took the sample from.
And same process, 2 swabs?
2 swabs, yes.
Did you test it
I did.
and the results?
Again, I'm going to just, every now and then, just make the same objection regarding any quote results.
Thank you, overruled.
The test result was positive.
Thank you. Sir, picture 3?
As a similar stain pattern, another blood-like stain appeared to be a white. It's located here at the left-hand side of area E. And again, I sampled this using that same swabbing technique, same testing technique, and I took the sample from this area here.
And the test results?
Test results were positive.
Picture 4?
Picture 4 is another blood-like stain we found in area E. And the stain pattern itself appeared to us to be a textured glove. If you can imagine 3 fingers here.
What exhibit was this marked at?
I marked it as State Police Exhibit 55.
Thank you. And states 5. What does that show?
That's an overall view of area E taken from kind of with your back to the mudroom door. So you can see Exhibit 55 here, that swipe mark.
And picture 6?
It's an off-kilter view of area E and the right-hand side of the garage.
Thank you. I'm going to draw your attention now to states 9, file 11. Are you familiar with Detective Pearson's map concerning zone F?
Yes, I am.
Picture 1 off of states 9, file 11. Sir, what does that depict?
It's an overall view of the right-hand side of the garage. You see area F is down here. This is the kind of the threshold of the overhead door. And area F is up in this area. Takes up center all the way down to the bottom of the photograph.
Thank you. Picture 2?
It's another blood-like stain pattern we found on the garage floor. Again, this is the threshold of the overhead door.
Actually, I'm going to scroll in a little bit. So that yellow arrow again, what does that depict?
That denotes north.
Picture 3?
That is, again, another blood-like stain pattern we found on the floor. Again, there's more detail inside this pattern. So we designated it as State Police Exhibit 54, photographed it in a similar manner as the others.
And is that depicted on the map?
Yes, it's located on the left-hand side of area F.
Picture 4?
Picture 4 is another blood-like stain pattern found on the floor.
And picture 5?
That is blood-like stain that I tested and sampled as Exhibit 52.
And with respect to the swabbing process, same swabbing process?
Correct, same testing and swabbing process.
And the test results of this one?
I referred my report.
would it refresh your recollection to take a look at your exhibit report?
Yes.
I can, Your Honor, just approach the clerk and mark ID. It's 11 for ID, please. Sir, would it refresh your recollection to take a look at your exhibit report?
Yes, it would.
I'm going to hand you and draw your attention, please, to page 3. Please take a moment, do not read that out loud, and look up to me when you're done. Did that sufficiently refresh your recollection, sir, as to the results of the test?
Yes, it did.
And what were the results of the test?
That KM test was negative.
Thank you. And is that depicted on the map as well?
Yes. Exhibit 52 is there.
Thank you. And state 6, or picture 6, I should say. What is that?
Again, that's another overall view of area F.
Are you familiar with area G, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And now states 9, file 12. Are you familiar with Detective Pearson's map?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Photograph 1, sir, what does that depict?
That is a photograph of the center garage bay, 69 Wells.
And is area G contained in that photograph?
Area G is in the area in which the Range Rover is parked, so it's in this area here.
Photograph 2,
Photograph 2 are some flood-like stains we found in area G up in this area. And for orientation, this is the step into the mudroom.
now, what are were exhibit numbers given to each of these stains?
The stains that I sampled, yes.
Okay. With respect to exhibit, or states picture 3, what is that, sir?
That is a stain we sampled as exhibit 47.
Is that reflected on the map?
Yes.
And
Here by the step.
when you say sample, did you conduct the swabbing process that you
I-
testified to earlier?
I did.
And the test, any test?
I did test that, and there were some stains up in this area that tested negative. And just from this, I don't remember which ones were which.
Would it refresh your recollection, take a look at your exhibit report again,
Yes.
if I may? So I'm going to draw your attention to page 2 of your exhibit report. If you could please just take a look. Sir, did that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
And with respect to the presumptive test that was performed on exhibit 47, do you recall what the results were?
The KM test was negative for this stain.
Okay. And 48? Sir?
48 was another blood-like stain in the same general area. It's right here by the stairs. Again, I sampled that, and tested it and sampled it in a similar manner.
And the results of that one?
That I'm not sure of either.
If I can, if I may just have a moment. can, I'm just gonna provide provide Detective Riley with 11A, or I'm sorry, 11 for ID, which is his exhibit report. Sir, if you can just take a minute and take a look at that, if you can, to refresh your recollection with respect to the results of any testing performed on exhibit 48 on 5/27.
Yeah, the KM test for exhibit 48 was positive.
49,
49, another blood-like stain, located up here in the same general area. It was tested and swabbed, collected in the same manner as the others. And the test result for this stain was negative.
and picture 6,
Again, another blood-like stain on the garage floor, located here. I sampled it, tested it, sampled it in the same manner when and the test result was negative.
picture 7,
Picture 7 is a fragment of paper towel found under the left front tire of the Range Rover. See it, it's located here.
did you take any action with respect to that?
After it was photographed, I just collected it now.
Picture 8,
Is a photo of a blood-like stain. Again, it appears to be a swipe located in area G. A sample of which was seized as exhibit 45. It was tested and collected in the same manner.
do you recall the results?
The test result for this stain was positive.
Picture 9,
That is a stain pattern. It was designated G20 for a blood-like stain. A sample of which I seized is exhibit 36. I tested it and swabbed it, collected it in the same manner, and the test result for this was positive.
picture 10,
As a stain marked as G19, located in area G, that I tested, swabbed, and collected in the same manner. The KM test result for this was positive.
picture 11,
That's this is a picture of the stain pattern found in area G after, I'm sorry, 2 stain patterns found in area G. And this photograph was taken after the Range Rover was removed.
actually gonna go down to and what does this photograph depict? Sir, states 18.
This was a photograph along the process of Lieutenant Davison's examination of the blood-like stains on the floor.
And if I may just have a moment, Your Honor, just to
Yes.
confirm with counsel. Your Honor, have on a separate disc 10, states 10, I believe there's no objection to it. If I may just have a moment to switch it out.
Yes. No objection, Attorney Troconis.
No objection, that's correct.
Stage 10 will be admitted as a full exhibit.
Sir, were you present when the Range Rover was removed from the garage?
Yes.
And did you conduct further processing of the garage scene with the Range Rover removed?
Yes.
If you can, just take a look behind you, sir. This is states 10, filed 16. What does that depict?
That appears to be a blow-like stain, that swipe pattern, sample from area G.
And
You pull up the exhibit number? Yes, this was tested and sampled and seized as State Police Exhibit 45.
And just to be clear, the same process, same everything?
Yes.
Okay, results?
The test results for this was positive.
Okay. And at some point, the Range Rover was removed. Who removed it from the garage?
I believe we just towed it out of the garage, winch it up on a flatbed.
Okay. And did you continue processing the garage floor after the vehicle was removed?
Yes.
I'm going to turn your attention to the photograph 2. What does that depict?
That depicts the two stain patterns that would have been underneath the Range Rover. One here in the lower part of the photo, and one here a little bit higher.
Just scrolling in. So does the higher one appear on the screen?
Yes, up in this area here.
Okay. Now, what does picture 3 do?
That is the selected stains that were designated as GW1, GW2, GW3, GW4, and GW5.
And sir, what does GW mean?
Area G, I'm not sure what the W stands for. That would be Lieutenant Davison's area of
Marking.
expertise.
And were these I'm going to show you a series of photographs, please. You just indicated some numbers. Are these the ones that correspond to the numbers that you marked?
Correct.
Okay, that would be for the records for photo, 8, 7, 6, 5, and 4. Are photos 4 through 8 depicted in photo 3?
Yes.
Okay. Now, photo 9, what is that, sir?
This is that upper stain pattern in area G. It was seen in the overall photograph. Here you have stain GE1, GE2, GE3, GE4, and GE5.
And just briefly, if you could take a look at 10, what does that depict, sir?
That stain designated as GE1.
Could you point to the stain? Okay. And for the record, it's the middle of the photograph?
Center of the photograph, correct.
Thank you. Picture 11.
This is stain GE2 in the center of the photograph.
Is this oriented like this picture? Sir, if I can, go back to...
So you can see the elongated stain here,
Okay. So
the elongated stain here.
which way is it on the garage floor? Is it perpendicular or I guess parallel?
So if you turn this photo clockwise, they would align.
Okay.
It was just taken from a different angle.
Picture 12.
Stain GE3 in the center of the photograph.
Oh,
Stain
and
G.
I apologize, same question. With respect to GE3?
Similar, the scales did not move.
Okay. And GE4?
G4, again, the stain in the center of the photograph, and the scale did not move from the overall.
And GE5?
G5, similar. Is this elongated stain here? And again, it's oriented, the scale's in the same position in the overall photograph.
Just safe to say it's the way the photograph was done?
Exactly, it's just the way the frame was taken.
And picture 15, please.
15 is a photo of a stain on the garage floor. Appears to be a tire mark.
Thank you. If I may, Your Honor, the state's going back to States 9. States 9, file 13. Sir, what does that depict?
These are the garbage cans that were found inside of the garage at 69 Wells. They were in the corner of the right-hand bay. The garage door would be on the right-hand side of your photograph.
And did you find anything of evidentiary value on the garbage cans?
Yes, there were blood-like stains found up and around the lids on both garbage cans.
Photograph 2, what is that?
That is a photograph of the left garbage can.
And photograph 3.
Again, that appears to be the left garbage can. And you can see the blood-like stains both here and here.
Photograph 4.
That is a photograph, may I refer to my report to get left or right?
If it would refresh your recollection,
Yes.
please.
That was a photograph of the left-hand garbage can that you saw in the overall photo. This was taken during the evidence collection process. And it was tested, swabbed, and collected as State Police Exhibit 66 from this area here.
Were there other swabbings that were taken out of the garbage cans?
On the right-hand garbage can. So that's the right-hand garbage can. Again, in a similar area, we found a blow-like stain.
Okay. And with respect to the garbage cans, about how many stain or swabbings did you take in all of the left garbage can? If it could refresh your recollection, take a look at your report, please.
Still the same, 2 swabs.
And with respect to the right side garbage can?
2 swabs.
And were those also tested?
Yes,
And the results?
positive.
Now, sir, did you all have an opportunity to examine the Chevy Suburban that you, or be part of the processing of the Chevy Suburban that you earlier in the day had gone to Lapham Road to
Yes.
examine? You can have a seat, sir. When was that?
That was on June the 28th, so it would have been the Tuesday after Memorial Day.
And actually, prior to leaving 69 Wells that day on May 27th, 2019, you testified earlier about latent prints. Did you conduct any latent print documentation?
Yes, we did.
I'm actually going to go to States 9, File 4. Where did you take latent prints from?
Well, we searched for latent prints around the points of entry.
I'm going to object as non-responsive.
Okay.
Well, the question is, where did you take latent prints from? And the answer was, we searched for latent prints. You know, it is non-responsive to
I
stay.
will ask some foundation questions, sir. What exactly is a latent print?
It's a, lack of a better term, an invisible fingerprint. A fingerprint that's deposited on a surface that needs some sort of development to make it visible.
And is there a process that you utilize in searching for these?
Yes.
What is that process?
Process is visual observation, utilizing side lighting, different lighting techniques. And then in this case, it was the application of just standard fingerprint powders.
And how does fingerprint powder allow you to search for latent prints?
The fingerprint powder is extremely fine and it adheres to the fingerprint residue and makes the print visible.
And did you conduct that process at 69 Wells?
Yes.
At what locations?
Various locations throughout the house, the first floor, and around the points of entry, around the mudroom door, around that the kitchen island.
I'm going to show you some photographs, sir, if I can. If you could take a look behind you. States 9. This is file 4. What do you see, sir, depicted in that photograph?
That's an overall photo of the door leading into the mudroom from the garage after latent print processing and prior to the collection of the prints.
And, well, actually, I'm sorry, I went too fast. If you could, would you mind standing up?
Sure.
And going back to the screen? Thank you. Couple questions, sir. Where is all, on that photograph, if anywhere on that photograph, you mentioned the black powder, fingerprint powder, if you could just describe it for the record, please.
Right, it's this dark colored smudges all over the white door.
Did you put that on there?
Yes, I was one of the people who searched for latent fingerprints with the
I'm going to object as non-responsive. It's either he did it or it was one of the people.
Well, the question was, did you do that? He said he was one of the people, and the court understands parenthetically who did it. Overruled.
What is the process for putting that fingerprint powder on a door such as this?
We have special brushes that we use, that we put the fingerprint powder on and apply it to the surface. And sometimes the fingerprints readily appear, become visible. Sometimes it takes a little bit of work to clean up smudges and things like that with the brushes.
And how would you do that? Clean up smudges, or what do you mean by that?
Oh, you just, if, to get more detail out of the print, you'll work it with finer brushes, smaller brushes, and try and clean out the fingerprint powder from in between the ridges that you see on the print.
Did you develop any latent prints out of the mudroom door?
Yes.
Where?
Right here above the lock cylinder.
Show you what's been marked as states. Picture 2. Sir, what does that show?
So this is the latent prints prior to collection, prior to lifting them.
And what do you mean by that?
So we will take photographs, obviously, to try and pick up the detail. And then once that's completed, we'll go ahead and take adhesive lifters. Usually it's adhesive clear acetate, almost like tape. In this case, down here, we used a gelatin lifter, which is a thin layer of gelatin on a rubberized backing. It's just used for different surfaces.
And the markings on the measurement tape, or the white stickers, I should say, what exactly does that mean?
So the LP stands for latent print, so we run them sequentially, so this would be
Your
latent
Honor,
prints.
again, I'm going to object, unless he's referring to himself in the plural. I would ask that he at least clarify whether he did this or someone else did it, just for clarification.
Well, the question, as the court understood it, is not whether he did it. He was asked to explain what those designations mean, if the court understood it correctly.
That was the state's question, Your Honor.
Overruled.
So this is my handwriting on the markings. So LP stands for latent print. Latent print 7, which is also designated as State Police Exhibit 82. Here, LP 8, latent print 8, State Police Exhibit 83.
Did you go anywhere else in the house and conduct this process?
Yes.
Where?
The kitchen of the residence.
And with respect to the mudroom door, is this the side going into the garage or the side going into the kitchen?
So this is what we designated as the exterior side. So this is the garage side of that mudroom door.
Picture 3, do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
Yes, this is the area around the inside face of the mudroom door. You can see down here where I had removed the doorknob. So this is one of the casings. You see LP1, latent print 1, Exhibit 73. Above that, latent print 2, Exhibit 74. And down on the wall, Exhibit 75, which is latent print 3.
The blue writing, is that actually on the wall?
Yes, I did that with grease pencil or China marker.
Why would you do that?
That designates which one I'm actually looking at, or what the actual lift is. So, and it just depends on the amount of detail in that print. So in a photograph, if I just put up a scale, I don't know which one of these is the exhibit. That's why we circle it with the China marker, and the arrow just orients the print. And then sometimes that gets picked up on the lifter itself. So it's more for the examiner.
Did you search for latent prints in the kitchen area?
Yes, I did.
Where?
Mainly around the kitchen island, or where I found those other exhibits.
I'm gonna show you what's been marked as picture 4. Do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
Yes, that's the inside of one of the cabinet doors.
And if you can, that same blue writing is on there. If you could explain that, please.
Correct, that's, I marked out the print in blue China marker and designated it as latent print 4, Exhibit 76.
Show you what's been marked as states 5. What does this photograph depict, sir?
That is on one of the entry doors. May I refer my report to?
If it would refresh your recollection,
Thank you.
please.
Okay, this is the French doors leading out to the backyard, the rear patio.
And if you could walk me through, did you do this one?
I'm not sure if I dusted this, but I designated it and marked it up.
And if you could just walk me through what you did.
Okay, so after the latent prints were developed, I go around, people tell me where they found prints, and I will go around with a magnifying glass, pick out the prints with the best detail, mark them, and label them in a similar manner, then notify the photographers as to their locations so they can be properly photographed prior to collection.
And picture 6, please.
That is off of a exterior door handle. And if I could refer to my report, I can get you the correct door.
If you can, thank you.
Okay, that's the same set of French doors that we took prints off of in the previous photograph. And this is one of the exterior handles, and you can see the lane print here. I remember developing this, and then I went ahead and marked it as Exhibit 80, lane print number 6.
Thank you, sir. You could have a seat. Now, I asked you previously about the Chevy Suburban. If you can, just briefly, and did you have an opportunity to process the Chevy Suburban at a later date?
Yes.
What day was that?
It was the 28th of May in 2019.
Where were you located?
At the New Canaan Police Department, the vehicle was located in their Sally Port.
And who was with you during that processing?
It was Sergeant Joe Duva was our supervisor. It's myself, Detective McGavin, I believe Detective Pearson, Detective Keppel.
And if I can, sir, I'm going to draw your attention just to take a look behind you. This is under States 9, File 14. Picture 1. Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, that's the Chevy Suburban prior to our start of processing.
Picture 2.
That's the rear of the Chevy Suburban.
Picture 3.
That's a view of one of the running boards of the Chevy Suburban.
And if I can scroll in a little bit. Sir, what is depicted in the white marker and the, I guess, pink arrow as well?
Right, so that's a blood-like stain we found just above one of the running boards. It was designated, tested, and swabbed and collected in the same manner as we did in the house.
And with respect to the results?
The test results were positive.
And the swabbing, did you conduct that in the same process as you did the 2 swabs? and
Yes, 2
every-
swabs, same collection.
Now, were you wearing gloves and protective gear in the course of processing the vehicle?
Yes, just gloves.
By the way, what was your assignment with respect to May 28th processing the vehicle?
I still maintained a position of evidence collection officer for this.
Okay. Picture 5, sir.
That is a blood-like stain pattern found on the lower edge of one of the doors.
And picture 6.
That's a sample from the stain pattern. I tested, collected as State Police Exhibit 106. The arrow denotes the stains that I took.
The stains that you took for what? The
I'm sorry, that I swabbed and collected as evidence.
State 7?
Again, those are additional stain patterns found on the door of the Suburban.
And states 8?
And that's another blood-like stain pattern.
And same questions, same?
It was tested, collected, and marked in a similar fashion, collected with the 2 swabs.
States 9?
That's the blood-like stain that I first saw on the bumper on Lapham Road. And again, I tested it, collected it, and marked it as State Police Exhibit 105, and the test results were positive.
States 10?
That is blood-like stains that were found on the steering wheel of the Chevy Suburban.
And same question, sir, did you?
Same collection method. It was tested, test results were positive. It was swabbed and collected as State Police Exhibit 118.
Were there also any swabbings done further of the inside of the vehicle?
Yes.
Where?
I do believe we did DNA swabs of the various parts of inside of the vehicle in an attempt to collect DNA. So we choose these areas based upon the areas that people touch when they're driving. So the insides of doors, steering wheels, top and bottom, gear shift, areas such as that.
States 11? What does that depict, sir?
That's the rear cargo area of the Chevy Suburban. The adhesive scales in the pink arrows denote areas where blood-like staining was found.
Specifically, I'm going to ask you about states 12. What is that?
That is an area of blood-like staining. It's hard to see with the dark carpet. And that was found in the rear cargo area. It was tested, collected and seized in the same manner as all the other swabbings of blood-like stains. It was denoted as State Police Exhibit 121.
And the test results?
Test results were positive.
And one more, sir. What is that?
That's a blood-like stain found on, I believe it's the driver's side wall of the rear cargo area. This also field tested positive for blood and was swabbed and collected as exhibit, State Police Exhibit 120.
Your Honor, with respect to the next few photographs the state intends to introduce, I know the court's ruling previously, but if I would, perhaps now would be a time to excuse the jury for a few minutes, or the state can go into it.
Well, the court would not expect 10 minutes worth of argument.
No, sir.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we will excuse you for a brief period. There will be some discussion of the next exhibit. And so we ask that you retire to the deliberation room and please do not discuss the case.
Oh, there's 3. Okay. Next.
Please be seated, thank you. Would
Your
you
Honor.
put those up on the screen, please?
Sure, Your Honor, if I may, I believe it is. This would be picture 14, picture 15, and picture 16.
Thank you. Easiest way for the court to probably do this is just
If
a
I may.
brief offer of proof as to how these exhibits are going to be explained.
If I may, Your Honor, may I just
Yes.
inquire of Detective
Yes.
Riley? Thank you. Detective Riley, I'm gonna have you draw your attention to photograph 14 behind you. What does that depict, please?
That's a photo of the rear cargo area. It's a time exposure, so the photo's taken over a longer period of time after the application of a chemical called luminol.
Okay, a couple questions about what you just said, okay? With respect to the content of the photograph, you said rear cargo area, is that of the Chevy Suburban?
Correct.
Okay, now with the, were you present when this happened?
Yes.
Okay. You used the word luminol, what does that mean?
It's a chemical that we use to detect latent blood, that is, blood that's not readily seen. We use it as a search tool. It's not we don't use it as a presumptive. We use it to search for blood that's not readily visible. If we find stains of or areas of interest with the luminol, we'll go ahead, conduct further observations. We utilize the KM test, and if the KM test is positive, then we'll take evidentiary samples from those areas.
And with respect to a luminol, does that give it any presumptive, wait, you said luminol for blood that's not readily available. How does that work? Or readily seen, I guess is the way you said it?
Correct. Yeah, the blood, we use it to search for latent blood. So the luminol reacts, it glows blue due to the iron present in blood. However, it reacts with substances that contain iron, along with several other different substances. What we do is once we mix up a batch of luminol that we're going to use on scene, we'll apply it to our known blood sources, the horse blood, the pig blood, and see how that reacts, and then we'll use it on an area of interest and see if we see any similar reaction.
So is it really the detection of iron? Is that what luminol is looking for?
Well, that's what luminol reacts to in blood.
Okay. And with respect to the fact, well, strike that if I can. You said you mix it up on scene.
Yes.
Walk me through that process.
So we get our luminol from a forensic supply house. It comes with a solvent, a bottle of solvent, and the luminol comes in powder form. We follow the instructions, we mix them together, we attach a spray head, and then we'll apply it to a surface.
Is this something that you're trained in?
Yes. I remember one class where we did use luminol.
And is this a tool that you have utilized in the course of your career at the Connecticut State Police?
Yes.
About how often?
Not a lot. I would say I've probably applied luminol 15 to 20 times.
And with respect to the photograph exposure process, how does that work?
So we'll set a camera up on a tripod so it's steady. We'll put the camera settings to keep the shutter of the camera open for a longer period of time. And then we'll apply the luminol, and if there's a reaction, we'll open the shutter, the camera will do its thing, and once the photograph's complete, we'll move to a different area.
Is there a lighting on anywhere around?
Yeah, I apologize. So luminol has to be used in a darkened room. The bluish glow is very faint if we have a reaction. So in this case, we close the sally port door. If there were windows on it, I don't remember if there were, they would be papered over. So we basically work in the dark with flashlights.
If I may have one moment. That would be the state's offer, essentially, Your Honor.
May I briefly cross?
Well, this is just essentially an offer of proof.
Yes.
So this is how the court understands the offer. Luminol detects blood that cannot be seen with the naked eye. However, it detects, and the court is not certain that this was the testimony, it detects any substance that contained iron. That includes blood. After that, there's further testing. After that, there may be the swabbing and the collection and essentially the KM test. That's how the court understands the testimony. The photos that are viewed at this time are time-lapse photos. In other words, this isn't a snapshot, as the court understands it. It's a time-lapse photo. The blue as it appears on the screen, as the court understands it, is bluer than what would be seen typically, because the testimony and the offer was that the blue is very faint. Here on the screen, the blue is not very faint. So during this offer, the court will ask you, Detective, is the color of the blue on the photograph darker than the blue that would appear after the application of luminol?
That's what a positive reaction looks like, Your Honor.
So you would describe that as faint?
It's faint where if it was in natural daylight, you wouldn't be able to see it.
Oh, but because it's against the backdrop of essentially a dark backdrop, it looks